Okay, hi. This is Samus recording live from the West Coast. The last video I recorded was November 4th. I dropped off the face of the mask for December, but I'm back in 2017 with no commitments as far as how often I will post these, because that's just a recipe for failure, as anyone who has made any sort of New Year's resolution before probably knows. Hey, I don't know, maybe you actually follow yours. I don't. So, anyways, first, Happy New Year. Yay. Um, I have so much to catch you up on that I'm breaking it down into sections. The first update, the craziest update, is that I am moving just for the semester from Ithaca to the place that I hate the most, New York City. Anyone who knows me knows that I despise that place. I think it's a social experiment gone awry. Like it creates cold, dead people. And I know what I need to be like on point, and what I need is like quiet, cleanliness, and um, like I guess like green, seeing green things, or seeing nature. And New York City offers none of that. So, yeah, I'm not really. Oh, yeah, and also money. And New York City drains all of that within moments of you existing in it. So, yeah, I'm going to be moving to New York City. I had this like existential crisis that my boo and a couple other people helped me out of. Basically, this past semester, I went on a tour, but it was a weekend warrior tour because I was teaching, and I've been facing this dilemma for some time now, where my PhD stuff and my music stuff are increasingly coming into conflict with each other. Like important, like paying gigs, I'm now having to like negotiate whether I can do them because of a school involvement, or like a mandatory school thing or important school thing. I am having to negotiate whether I can attend those or participate. So, anyways, uh, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, um, uh, baby, what was I saying?
No,
You
you talk
listen.
about moving to New York City.
Okay, yeah. So I'm New York City movie. Yes. So I was having this crisis, and I was like, okay, well, next fall, as in fall of 2017, I need to just like leave open for opportunities. Like I can't be teaching a class again because that roots me in a place in a way that doesn't allow for like touring or like special spot dates. I just don't want to deal with that stress anymore of having to be on someone else's schedule. But of course, teaching classes where I get money, in addition to my music stuff. And this past year with touring, this was one of the first. I think this was the first year where I made as much doing music as I would like TAing a class, which is pretty nuts. Which is nuts for me. I mean, TAing a class doesn't mean that it's not like a crazy amount of money, but it is, ostensibly enough that you're supposed to be able to support yourself. So I was able to make enough to support myself just purely off music, which is dope. Um, and so that was really exciting, and I realized, oh, I could have done more if I had had time. So I've been walking this line for some time now. um, and I was offered this teaching position at NYU in the fall, and I was like, in fall 2017, and I was inclined to take it. I sat down on the couch with Bay and was like, oh, I'll take it, and then I can figure out how to, if I get asked to go on a tour, then maybe I'm like trying to come up with all this stuff. And he was just like, you should just believe in yourself, and like turning down this opportunity, doesn't mean that there won't be others if, God forbid, touring or music stuff isn't a possibility. Um, but also, B, it means that I'm not fully committing myself to this thing ever, which is I have never, ever fully committed myself to music. It's always been at like 80, 90%. Yes, I have a song called 100%. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. But no, I just have never been able to do it the way that I wanted to do it, because there's always a negotiation of my time and energy, resources elsewhere. So he gave me this pep talk, and I was like, okay. okay, still kind of panicking about not taking this position. And then I went on Twitter and was like, somebody tell me something. And my homie Letitia, who is in the band, who has started the band Vagabond, and she is going to be famous this year. I'm just letting you know. Vagabond, Vagabon, is going to be famous this year. I have actually no doubt in my mind. I'm like pretty excited to watch this happen. We did a show together in April at uh, in Poughkeepsie at Vassar College. So anyway, so she like messaged me and was like, "You can do it. You don't have to take this position. Like, believe in yourself, believe in your craft. The world needs you. The world needs to hear what you have to say." My other homie, Zia, who's a director, she hit me up and she also was like, I've had these anxieties about my art and pursuing things to the fullest and what that means about my quality of life, et cetera, et cetera. And so it was just like, yo, I have the most beautiful network of people, and I love that when I put out the call, like people came and affirmed me, and that was actually what I needed to do. So I emailed the dude and was like, "This position sounds amazing. I'm not gonna take it." And then as soon as I emailed him, he emailed me back like within 5 minutes and was like, "Oh, this like perfect job for the spring 2017 semester opened up, the time when I'm going to be doing research and needed a position and didn't have anything, and like wrapping up PhD stuff. It just opened up and it's like exactly in your department's fields, science and pseudoscience. I'm in science and technology studies, and it's 1 day a week. It's Tuesday nights, which is like for an artist, that's the most perfect thing that I could have ever, like I was begging for a Tuesday, Thursday class last semester, and I got a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which like totally wrecked my ability to do most of the stuff that I wanted to do. XOXO, which I went to, I had to leave Sunday and miss the talks, the big after party. It actually still kind of like hurts inside when I think about those opportunities. But yeah, so oh my God, it's already 7 minutes. It's already 7 minutes. This is not good. Um, so, anyways, I'm moving. I will be in Brooklyn next semester, starting January, mid-January. I'm probably going to be a hermit, and I mean, I have a few shows coming up, but I don't have intentions to like chill or really do anything besides music, school, and research. So yeah, that's what I've been up to on that front. So next up, speaking of all my touring dilemmas, I wanted to, since my last video was on November 4th, that was prior to me finishing up my Weekend Warrior Princess tour. It was a huge success. It was phenomenal. Financially, huge success, which inspired me to actually put together a panel that is going to be held at Magfest in Baltimore next week, about monetizing your craft, because I feel like now I can really contribute to that discussion in a different way. But it wasn't just financially successful; it was really a confidence booster. Just have people like in places that I had never been come through, and it was a testimony like to the kinds of like amazing people that I have been able to like collect in my network, to just be able to reach out in any place in like the Northeast and be like, hey, we did a show together once, or like, hey, I've been listening to you for a while, or you've been messing with me for a little bit, and like the generosity of folks to help me set up shows and like successful shows. There wasn't like a dud. I feel like Philly was the worst attended. It was like Halloween, and I don't know anybody in Philly. But that's pretty, like Brooklyn, I still think about like the sound was crazy in Buffalo, and I damn near had a mental breakdown. But we worked through it. The people were there were really cool. The other acts were awesome, and Dreamland was a really nice space. So even my crises weren't crises. Um, so yeah, tour was dope. I had these special limited edition T-shirts that are up on my Bandcamp page, samusmusic.bandcamp.com, or I think that's it. Yeah, whatever. Um, and the pink ones, I made these like light pink ones, and they sold out within like 5 days, which is unbelievable. Um, I feel like the color, like light pink, it has is like a really, it's like a really popular color. I didn't recognize that in terms of like shirt development, and I guess that's a part of like knowing your demographic. But yeah, those got scooped up with the quickness. I still have gray and cream ones left on the site, so you can go get those. Um, yeah, so tour is great. I'm in the process of setting up a mini tour right now in March. So Hopefully, I'll be coming through the Midwest and the South for once. Yay! And then we'll think about the West Coast later. Um, so that's that. Let's see. Next thing, crazy press. Oh my gosh. Let me pull this up. So since November 4th, let me see. It's been like, the life cycle of an album is a hard thing to judge. And I think increasingly there's pressure on artists to like be finishing the next thing while the first thing is out. That's definitely a smart business plan. Homeboy Sandman is super prolific. I know he has like albums in like warehoused. Like he has projects on projects on projects to be able to put out, and a lot of other people do. Um, and so it's anxiety inducing when you put a thing out, not just because it's like, oh, how will people react, but like, now I'm like naked and bare again. I don't have anything to offer to the world after this, or a finished product. But I have done my best to not subscribe to that. So anybody who asks me, ooh, what's next? I'll be like, what's next is you listening to my album, supporting the album that I just put out, like 3 weeks ago or 3 months ago. Me going to new locations to tour off this project. I didn't even tour for the project before Pieces in Space, the EP Infusion. I didn't do any sort of touring for that. So I have these two projects, whole pockets of the country and world that I have not visited and haven't explored and don't know anything about me beyond those two albums even. So I just feel like I have a lot of stuff. I'm not concerned with like building up my catalog so I have the next thing to pump out. So anyways, I say all that to say that even though that's my mindset, I know that's not how the rest of the world works. And you put out a thing, there's all this buzz explosion the first week, maybe second week, who can hope, maybe a month down the line people are still like, oh yeah, that was a great thing that happened. I mean, like Blonde, Frank Ocean's project, I feel like it came and it went in terms of the like, people going nuts online or being very vocal about it, which is not to say that they haven't been listening to it. Or like any of these major artists, they'll put out a thing, you'll hear about it crazy for like a week, and then it's gone, and then there's the next thing. So I wasn't expecting all of the crazy end of the year sort of press that I have received as of late, but it's been bananas. Like, let me open up my little press kit on my page just to see what has happened since November 4th. I think the last time I put out a video, I had just had, the AV Club had just premiered a video for me. So that was one of my biggest features to date at that point. So since that time, let's see, what happened? 11/7. So I was the artist of the day, featured by South by Southwest, which is crazy. And South by Southwest is why I'm setting up this March tour. So get at me if you book shows or do stuff in the this hair grease is not good. Sorry. In the Southwest, what am I talking about? In the South or the Midwest. I was interviewed by Feminist Frequency. Wait, I think I already talked about that. I was interviewed by Bandcamp in a dope feature in which I got to talk about my like African identity, which was cool, like being a quote unquote bad African kid. The guy who interviewed me was this Nigerian cat, and he was like, yeah, I always felt like I didn't know what to do with my Africanness because it's it's like kind of fragmented. Like my understanding of my Africanness is fragmented. So that was nice to have that conversation. I was also, I was named the number 19 best album of the year by the Cornell Daily Sun. Cornell showing me love. I don't know if you all remember the video that I made about Young Thug, the Young Thug concert, and how pissed I was and how much I was like, I fucking hate Cornellians. And even with Hannibal Buress, everybody being sort of like stiff, and this was after a weekend of like doing stuff at IC, and everybody showing me like all the love in the world. So I'm happy that Cornell is finally seeing it for me. I was also featured in a dope Bandcamp article entitled "The Year in Political Music," and then my track "Comments Disabled" was reviewed by Pitchfork, which is like, I think their bio or like their Twitter thing is like the most trusted name in music. That's it. Like we're the best, we're the pinnacle of music conversation. So that was really an honor, and it was a nice write up too, one that was really thoughtful and engaging with the track in like a meaningful way. It wasn't just like nerd artists are here to stay, like I feel like it's very easy for my shit to get distilled down into that. So that was nice. And then the Lasai, which is like a feminist or femme-centered, I think femme and non-binary centered publication based out of Brooklyn. They did a nice review of Pieces in Space, and then it's sort of the Pieces in Space end of year list train started moving. It got a 7.2 in Pitchfork, which I don't know how to interpret that, but I'm geeked that Pitchfork knows that I exist. That's awesome. That's like really, I think especially for what I'm doing, I feel like that's kind of unheard of, like nerdcore proper cats don't really get that kind of love. So I feel like I'm opening doors in terms of being received in new critical outlets and not just being dismissed. And even the Pitchfork write-up talks about the kind of perception of what nerdcore is. Basically, white boys doubling down on like their nerdery around a particular fandom and using like weird parroted hip-hop phrases sometimes. And so I'm offering this contrast that I think is getting love, and I appreciate that and hope that it will pave a path for an artist that wants to do the kind of thing that I'm doing. I was also featured in the LA Weekly article about here's how much women ran hip hop in 2016. There's always a weird thing with like the women focused hip hop stuff. And anyone who is engaged at all with identity politics knows this, where it's like, I don't want to be defined by this thing, but also it's like a huge part of what I'm doing. So this was a nice list. The word femc I don't think came up anywhere. So that's good. And the other artists on the list were really dope. I'm not one of those people who's like, fuck. Like you bringing attention to my identity as a woman is not always a problem. I think for some artists it is always a problem. Like that, like stop doing that. But I it's an important part of what I'm trying to say. It's just when it gets distilled, or I get you're my favorite female rapper, which I forgot this year to do my like subversion of talking about other men who rap as my favorite male rappers. Maybe I'll do that in 2017. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I break all promises and resolutions, so probably not. Okay. I was also named the #1 album by Scratched Vinyl, which is a really dope publication that's been following me for a long time. And they have a South by Southwest showcase that I've been featured in 2 times. It's one of my favorites. I love the work that they do. I love their reviews. I just can't speak highly enough about Scratched Vinyl. Look them up. So good. And their reviews are just always on point. I was also given the #1 spot in the Asbury Park Press as the album of the year, which is pretty crazy. Other people on the project, I think, were like Radiohead and like David Bowie. It's just and Rihanna, Anti. So yeah, I'm kind of floored about that. Thank you so much to the Asbury Park Press. And then finally, ABC News. ABC News gave me the #11 spot in a top 50 album of the year list. Like, just being like that, that's crazy to me. I can't even, that's just so wild to me. Being in like an ABC News music thing, because that's not like a hip hop focus or like indie focused publication. It's not even really primarily known for music. It's just everything. So I can't believe that I'm on this list. And then I'm almost in the top 10. What? The write-up is spot on. Like, this person gets me, and that's the most fantastic feeling in the whole world. And then finally, it was listed as a top 10 debut album of 2016. And before you say debut album, what are you talking about, Samus? You have lots of albums. This was my first major label release. So it's like I kind of got to start over, which is nice. And it did feel almost like a debut project, like everything was building towards that. All of the stuff that I've been working on and the networks I've been creating and all of that stuff was all in service of having this project unfold in the way that it did. So yeah, that's kind of everything for now. I'm going to be dropping a podcast episode with my boo later today. Um, for all my Patreon supporters, and Patreon is almost up to $300 a month. That's so good. That's so good. Thank you. I love you. If you're contributing, you can contribute for as little as $1, and I do these little, Patreon specific posts. I'm hoping to figure out more ways, more kind of perks to give people once I don't have, 50 million jobs. Um, but for now, you get cool posts and stuff for an exclusive stuff for $1, for $5. The podcast is yours to listen to, and then there's different levels, and that's patreon.com/SamusMusic. In terms of upcoming shows, I'm going to be at Magfest next Friday and Saturday. Friday night, I'm participating in the Mega Marathon, which should be dope. I've done it 2 years in a row. I don't know. But I'll be on at 9:15. Come through. I'm going to wrap my ass off like I always do. Saturday, I'm going to have a panel discussion about, like I said, monetizing it's called leveling up, like monetizing your music or whatever. And it's actually, the panel's going to have a lot of good people on there. It's me, Mega Ran, I hope Richie Branson. I reached out to him. I don't know if he's still participating. DJ Cutman, and Kyle Murdoch, and potentially a few others. Just talking about their experiences of turning their hobby into a real thing that generates income. And that was part of why I wanted to work with those names, because it's, you can make a couple bucks here and there off a show, but I wanted to talk to people who have done more than that. And so, yeah. Anyways, so that's happening next week. And then I have a show on the 26th of January. And then another show in Brooklyn on the second. It's a Don Giovanni Records showcase, and then another show on the 11th. It's a Valentine's Day showcase. I can't wait to depress people and talk about imposter syndrome and love and anxiety about love. Those are my favorite Valentine's Day topics. And then I think I'm chilling mostly for the rest of February, and then and whatever. This is way too. This doesn't. You don't care about this. So thanks for an awesome 2016. I'll leave links below of some of the stuff that I talked about. I hope to see a lot of you in 2017. I love you. Bye.